Hey guys, it's Godbars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 49th episode of my series where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what impact it had, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. As I've mentioned before, one of my favorite aspects of hip-hop is how diverse and all-encompassing it can be. While Black on Both Sides may have very little in common with the last album I discussed, I enjoyed them both immensely. Every style for hip hop has its own specific purpose. I don't think Mos Def or Yasiin Bey is the first person who comes to your mind when you're in the club. And adversely, I don't know if Juvie would excel at racial and socio-political commentary over jazzy boom bap. But if you're having a conversation about who's a better lyricist or writer, that's a bit of a different story, and you probably have to go with Yasiin Bey, who in this video I'm just going to refer to as Mos Def for simplicity. I feel like saying Yasiin Bey every time just sounds kind of unnatural, but if I'm not mistaken, the decision to use his real name came from everyone just referring to him as Mos and not caring about the person behind the artist. Since I'm just talking about the music he put out as the rapper Mos Def and not really delving into the personal side, I think it should be alright. This album came super early in my hip hop journey, long before I actually started making a conscious effort to explore the genre and listen to classics front to back. This was before Spotify and Apple Music was still iTunes at the time, and you either had to buy the entire album or pay anywhere from $1 to $2 for any given single track. Obviously, my parents weren't exactly keen on spending $10 to $20 on albums I hadn't even heard yet, so for the vast majority of artists I listened to at that age, I only had one or two songs. However, when it came to Black on Both Sides, I played and enjoyed the couple of singles I had so much that over time I accumulated about half the album through buying the separate tracks. This 99 release was Mos Def's first solo album, and it came off the heels of his success the previous year with the Black Star debut he released with Talib Kweli. That classic will definitely come up pretty soon, but as amazing and important as it is, I chose Black on Both Sides first because to me, there's probably no album that better embodies the pure spirit and essence of hip hop. It's completely one of a kind and special, yet is still connected and in tune with the rest of the culture. Most is one of those rare triple threats where he has a voice made for hip hop and a distinct style, but he's also a top tier lyricist and writer of conceptual tracks. The third thing is he can produce as well, and he does some production and co-production on multiple tracks here. Honestly, even Triple Threat is sort of an understatement, since he's long been involved in politics and focusing on his community, not to mention his impressive foray into cinema with movies like The Italian Job or Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. However, most of those opportunities spawned out of his success as a rapper, and his storied career would really get its start towards the back end of the 90s, where underground and experimental hip hop started bubbling up as an alternative to more mainstream material rap geared towards moving units. These guys really weren't doing the thing people do now, where they act like being a lyrical rapper is just talking about how mumble rap is whack. Guys like Mos Def would show plenty of reverence and respect towards other rappers. He's just sharing his experience and point of view on things like culture, black pride, self identity, his hometown Brooklyn, and what hip hop means to him in general. But obviously, the biggest track on here is Miss Fat Booty, and even if there's a hint of sarcasm and commentary in it, it was a massive hit that's been sampled multiple times since the beat is so legendary. That song displays not only the versatility on this album, but it shows Mos wasn't putting himself on some pedestal, and it's also a great example of how hip hop can be lyrical while still being about a subject that might not seem especially conscious. Like I've said before, it's not always just what you talk about, it also matters how you choose to present it. Personally, I'd much rather listen to someone like Mos Def, MF Doom, or Cool Keith on a song talking about drugs and girls than a makeshift conscious rapper who talks about all kinds of societal and cultural issues, but none of the takes are unique or interesting. This album is kind of the best of both worlds, though. Pretty much every track has a different topic and MO, but they still touch on similar themes and help build the experience into a grand portrait of hip hop and black culture. However, the diversity doesn't just apply to the topics and sonic landscape, it even applies to how these songs are packaged and delivered in general. What I mean is the adventurous moments where Most decides to go on a totally different direction, to the point certain tracks almost qualify more as other totally separate genres. One of these comes on the track titled Rock and Roll, where he takes aim at just about every old beloved white rock star and details how literally every successful white artist made a name through genres or styles that had roots in African American culture. For this song, the incorporation of other styles of music comes at the end, where Most hilariously attempts a hardcore punk breakdown. And despite the clear tongue in cheek aspect to it, for me at least, I feel like there's still a sense of admiration for punk bands like Bad Brains. But in terms of venturing into genres that aren't necessarily hip hop, the crowning achievement would have to be Umi Says, which is understandably a fan favorite. This song has no rapping, it's just Mos Def singing over a jazzy, textured instrumental, and it's one of my favorite examples of a rapper stepping out and attempting a type of song that isn't usually in their comfort zone. For me, it's up there with Bomb Bud 1 and 2 by DJ Quick, the Good Morning Heartache rendition ODB did with Lil Mo, even some of the stuff that Three Stacks would experiment with on Love Below. Obviously, when it comes to someone like Lauryn Hill, I'd say they're kind of in a league of their own, and I actually say the same about Missy Elliott as well. There's other moments that have gorgeous singing, like the haunting track The Climb, but the atmosphere that Umi Says creates is truly special. I can't even begin to delve into all the topics and angles on Black on Both Sides, but a couple other creative moments are Mathematics, where Most breaks all types of numbers and statistics down over one of the grimiest beats on here, as well as New World Water, a more anxious and unsettling song about the increasing lack of clean, potable water and what it could mean for future generations. Racial injustice is also a huge reoccurring theme on this project, and this topic is focused on with the Q-Tip featuring song I Can't Nor Won't Say the Title for. It's a comical and more upbeat song musically, but the point they're making about being rich, famous, and successful, yet still being looked down on for your skin tone, is poignant and ever relevant, unfortunately. The abstract isn't the only feature on here, but the list of artists who show up is pretty tight, with appearances by Vinia Mojica, Busta Rhymes, and of course the other half of Black Star, Talib Kweli. There's also a selection of producers that could form a supergroup with names like Diamond D, DJ Premier, 88 Keys, Ayatollah, D. Prosper, Psycho Les from Beatnuts, as well as Ali Shaheed Muhammad from A Tribe Called Quest. For this masterpiece, honorable mentions wise, I'd have to choose Hip Hop, Love, Speed Law, Do It Now, New World Water, Know That, The Climb, and Brooklyn. My top three songs, while admittedly sort of safe picks, are genuinely my favorite tracks due to quality and a bit of nostalgia. Those being Miss Fat Booty, Umi Says, and Mathematics. Thank you for watching my 49th video. It's hard to believe that we're already about to hit number 50, so while I can't really promise anything special because every album I've been doing is already so revered, the least I can do is keep up with that trend and do another landmark, and I am working on my top 50 hip-hop albums for this year, so while that probably isn't going to come out till the end of the month, I do have it planned for the most part. I'm just deciding where a couple of the more recent releases are going to land. Now, tune in to see what I pick for the 50th episode. And if you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite songs are off this statement of self expression. Don't forget to have a great day, and I'll see you next time, okay? Alright.